Welcome, Pacific Coast Watchers, to this special episode of the Operations Brief. Life has gotten in the way this week, and I will have a full episode of the Operation Brief out probably early next week. I wanted to make this special edition, however, due to two collisions between the Chinese Coast Guard, Maritime Militia, and the Philippine Coast Guard around Second Thomas Shoals, while the Philippine Coast Guard was trying to deliver supplies to its outposts there. The statement from the National Task Force for the West Philippine Sea says that around 0604 this morning, that's 22 October, while conducting a regular and routine rotation and resupply mission to the BRP Sierra Madre, which is a World War II LST that's grounded on Second Thomas Shoal. Dangerous blocking maneuvers of the Chinese Coast Guard vessel 5203 caused it to collide with an armed forces of the Philippine contracted indigenous resupply boat, the Eurasia May 2, or UM2, approximately 13.5 nautical miles east-northeast of Second Thomas Shoals. The provocative and irresponsible and illegal action of Coast Guard vessel 5203 imperiled the safety of the crew of the UM2. During the same mission, the Philippine Coast Guard vessel MRRV 4409 portside was bumped by a Chinese maritime militia vessel while it was lying approximately 6.4 nautical miles northeast of Second Thomas Shoal. The resupply mission is still ongoing, with the Eurasia May 1 reaching the Second Thomas Shoals to successfully resupply our troops and personnel stationed there. Relevant authorities are briefed on the incident and developments are ongoing. The National Task Force of the West Philippine Sea condemns in the strongest degree the latest dangerous, irresponsible, and illegal actions of the Chinese Coast Guard, the Chinese Maritime Militia, done this morning. In violation of Philippine sovereignty rights, and jurisdiction, and an utter blatant disregard for the United Nations Charter, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, Convention of the International Regulations for Preventing Collisions at Sea, and relative international maritime conventions, and the 2016 Arbitrary Award from the UN. So as you can see from the video, the statement appears to be pretty accurate. I've found a couple of snippets from a Chinese side, but unfortunately I wasn't able to download that. The Chinese, in a statement that was put out by the China Daily, which of course is a state-owned media, it reads, China lawfully intercepted Philippine vessels attempting to send construction materials to an illegally grounded military vessel on Renai Reef, which is what the Chinese call Second Thomas Shoal, in the South China Sea, and the Coast Guard said in a statement on Sunday. The action was taken in accordance with the law, and the statement added, 2 Philippine transport vessels and 2 Philippine Coast Guard vessels trespassed into waters adjacent to Renai Reef in the South China Sea on Sunday, prompting the Chinese Coast Guard to intercept the unauthorized entry, the statement said. Disregarding repeating warnings from the Chinese authorities, the Philippine vessel Eurasia May 2 deliberately crossed the bow of the Chinese Coast Guard ship 5203 at 6:14 a.m. local, in an unprofessional and dangerous manner, resulting in a minor collision. About 2 hours later, at 8:13 a.m. local, the Philippine Coast Guard vessel 4409 deliberately stirred up trouble by reversing its engines and colliding with a Chinese fishing vessel which was floating in the vicinity, the statement said, adding that the fishing vessel did not have its engines on at the time of the incident. The actions of the Philippine vessels flagrantly violated international maritime collision regulations, posing a threat to safety of Chinese naval vessels, the Chinese Coast Guard said, adding that it operated with professionalism, adhering to the standards and procedures, and was in full compliance of the law. The responsibility for these incidents lie entirely with the Philippine side, the statement says. The actions of the Philippine side violated China's territorial sovereignty, contravening the declaration on the conduct of parties in the South China Sea, the statement said. We urge the Philippine side to immediately cease its infringement. The Chinese Coast Guard will continue to carry out law enforcement activities in China's jurisdictional waters according to the law, firmly safeguarding national sovereignty and maritime rights and interests, it said. Commenting on the issue, Xi Jinping, a social media account operated by the PLA News Media Center, said the Chinese Coast Guard had repeatedly made statements about the illegal intrusion of Philippine vessels into Renai Reef, and it has also released videos that show the Philippine vessels approaching Chinese ships in a dangerous manner, resulting in the collision. From the videos, it's clear that the Chinese Coast Guard vessels are much larger than the Philippine vessels, but the Chinese vessels operate in a professional and standard manner, the comment said. The Philippine side has disregarded repeated discussions, warnings, and intentionally created incidents attempting to mislead international opinion and providing quote-unquote evidence for certain forces to intervene in the South China Sea in an attempt to quote-unquote solidify their illegal occupation of Chinese islands and reefs. Provocative actions based on external forces and temporary capabilities will only lead to failure, it said. Since early August, the Philippines had frequently violated Chinese territorial sovereignty by sending official vessels and warships to trespass into waters adjacent to Chinese islands in the South China Sea, including Renai Reef and Huguan Island, which I believe that one is South Scarborough Shoal, but I'm not 100% sure about that. The Philippines' repeated attempts to send construction material to repair and reinforce a grounded military vessel on Renai Reef have been thwarted by the Chinese Coast Guard, which took necessary measures to respond. China has indisputable sovereignty over the Nasha Islands and their adjacent waters, which that Nasha is what they term the Spratly Islands. China has indisputable sovereignty over the Nasha Islands and their adjacent waters, including Renai Reef. The Chinese Coast Guard has stressed several times in previous statements. The Chinese Foreign Ministry also reiterated earlier this month that Renai Reef has been Chinese territory since ancient times and has never been Philippine territory. A spokesman for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs also urged the Philippines to take China's concerns seriously, uphold its commitments, cease provocative activities at sea, avoid risky behavior, and cease unwarranted attack and defamation against China. It's important for the Philippines to promptly remove the illegally grounded warship in order to prevent the disruption of peace and stability in the South China Sea, and to avoid harm in the common interests of the countries of the region, the spokesperson said, adding that China will continue to take necessary measures in accordance with domestic and international law to firmly safeguard its territorial sovereignty and maritime rights. Now, folks, that's a tough one to read because there's video about what happened. You can tell from the video there that that is the full video. The piece of Chinese video I watched was edited. It just showed the Philippine vessel coming across the bow of the Coast Guard ship. So what we're looking at there, though, is the Coast Guard ship blocked him, probably shut off its engines or was just making way. And then the Philippine ship tried to go around them, and as they tried to go around them, they restarted their engines. Because even if you look at the video from the Philippine side that I have playing here, you can see that the wake on the bow, the ship is moving. If you look at the water and where the bow meet, the ship is moving, but it's not moving very fast, kind of like they just engaged their engines again to push ahead. And also note that black rectangle there on the front of the bow. I'm reaching out to someone, but I am pretty sure that is a ram that's attached to the front of the Coast Guard ship in order to push other boats without getting damage on the bow. I'm going to confirm that, but I really strongly believe that's what it was. And, that being said, okay, well, you're set up for ramming. We all know Second Thomas Shoal is within the Philippine EEZ. And, There's no reason the Filipinos can't go there. And same with Scarborough Shoal. As you can see from the video, it's hard to put blame on the Philippine Coast Guard here. We also have reports that's going to be covered in a full episode of the operations briefs of at least 3 other interceptions around different features in the Spratly Islands in the last 2 weeks. It seems that the CCP is playing hardball with the Philippines for swaying closer to the U.S. and calling out China on its gray zone tactics, because the Philippines have put on reporters and have taken video and released everything publicly in order to kind of shine the spotlight on what's been going on there for several years. Even a CCP report a while back came out and said that the Philippines has wrong thinking and needs to stop stirring up trouble in the South China Sea. So that's quite a statement considering what's been going on there. But for right now, that's it. I want to say thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.